Hey guys, this is Daniel from Valor Comic Services. I'm here with my buddy Zach from Frog Flea Market out of West Monroe, Louisiana. Zach has featured on the channel multiple times where we often have unboxings and general chat. So today we're hanging out because after a year of waiting, we have a CGC mail call that we've been waiting for and hoping that they would get those turnaround times knocked out faster. That way we can get these books back, but we're anxious for it. We haven't checked out the grades. We made a pact that we were not going to look at it and it was going to be a blind unboxing. So that's what we're here to do today. So with the books that we're about to have, they are all DC comics. They are all Neal Adams comics. Zach and I are both big, huge Neal Adams fans for comics. So whenever we got this lot, which was last year, obviously, Zach had a story with it where it was a family friend.
Yeah, it was one of my mother's friends who had gotten in touch with me through my mother, discovered that I was into comics. I knew a lot about them. She was like, oh, I think I've got some from my childhood. I'll bring them by, let you just have them. I was like, okay, whatever. I was expecting, your usual stuff that you find in a comic lot when somebody just brings you a box. But I started going through it, and it was like, okay, decent, $5-10 books. And then I was like, hey, you can't give these to me. I will not let you. And I started breaking it down for her. I was like, you have some really important books. And I was like, you remember Batgirl? And she was like, yeah, these are my comics. I've read them all.
There was a first Batgirl in that.
There was a first Batgirl. And that's not in today's CGC. It was so low grade. The cover was detached. A lot of things. I sold it raw. But I started explaining these things to her. I was like, hey, there's some important stuff in here. I cannot let you give these to me. I have to buy them from you. So we struck up a deal, and then me and Daniel struck up a deal. And I'll let you explain what we agreed upon.
So naturally, both being fans, being friends, he had sent me a text immediately with pictures saying, you won't believe what I got today. And it's just this box of nothing but bangers, like first Dark Side, first Ra's al Ghul, everything you could think of within that good era.
Yeah, from 70 to 75 DC, it was everything. She was picking up every issue of pretty much all your major titles. I just remember what's in another thing in the box. First, Nubia, the Wonder Woman book.
Right.
There's just everything from that era is in here, not missing a beat. So the deal that me and Daniel worked out is he would submit the books for us, but then he gets to upgrade some of his PC books to hopefully potentially higher grade books that we're getting today.
Right.
And that would be his buy-in for this lot.
Right. So with the lot, I had a lot of the books that were already picked up. However, from my eye, they looked like they were going to be better condition. What's up, Swish Grips? Thanks to you for joining in. Hope some of this ends up being educational to you, bud. But with the books, I was like, I think this is a higher grade than what I already have. And some of what I have was already a decent grade to begin with. So we made our deal. There were some single books that I had to pick up because I've never had them before and I wanted to have them in my collection. So with the ones that are going to be upgrading, I made the offer and proposition that I would clean and press them, and then I would also front the CGC bill with whenever these books come back, which here we are today. Then if there's room for me to upgrade the books that I have, then it's just going to be a fair swap.
And to reiterate, coming back 1 year later, almost to the day of, we thought about these books a lot for the first 2-3 months, and then it just kept going and going. It's another finally, we cannot express how excited we are.
Right.
We remember maybe half the books in this box, let alone what they're going to potentially be graded at.
Right. It's going to be a lot of, I forgot about that book.
Whoa.
Like how he just mentioned Batgirl. I forgot there was even a Batgirl. There was a first Man-Bat that was in the lot. We continually think that we have submitted it, but then we have to go back and be like, no, centerfold was detached. We didn't. Although I would love to. I have a 4.0 of that book that I would love to upgrade.
Absolutely. It presented beautifully, but the whole centerfold was detached. And, none of these books came to me bagged or boarded. They were all completely raw. They were in a gasoline cardboard box where you get like a 4-pack of gasoline or oil for your car. So they were just vertically stacked in this box. And it is a wonder how beautiful they were when I got them. they had just remained in that good a condition and survived this long. 50 years now that most of these books have been around.
Right. Is this also your first like actual CGC boxing on film?
I believe so. I've had a few books here and there, most of them like PC stuff or whatever, but I think this is the first time you and I have like a personal submission I've been here for an unboxing.
Right.
So I'm excited about it, guys. I genuinely just don't know what is in here. So you wanted to hop into it?
I do. Go ahead and just pull the first book out. We'll
All right.
talk about it.
I've got them behind us here. I'm just going to, no order, reach in and pull them out.
Yeah.
Who else we got in the chat?
You've got our buddy, a Supreme Love, DC Slabs, love it. He does a big fan of supporting the channel as well as DC Comics. Steve, what's up, Mr. Steve?
Hello, hello.
And then Squish Ribs. Yeah, that's nuts.
I gotcha. Hey, guys.
Oh, for sure, drum roll.
So here's the first one. Detective 407 at an 8.5.
Oh, that's very nice.
An 8.5 is the first one. When I said these were all high grade, I wasn't kidding. So if you'll look at the second camera we got over here.
Yeah, the 8.5 is very fair, near mint. It's getting very close to that near mint status. So for an 8.5 is dope. What was the issue number of that one more time?
407.
So 407. So
I believe this is the fourth Man-Bat story. Issue 400 is first Man-Bat. And then he did 2 issues after that. And then I think this is the 4th issue with him in it.
Right.
But again, one of those classic Neal Adams. And this is a 50-year-old book.
Right. So bam.
And where did all these books get cleaned and pressed, Daniel?
Oh, me.
Through what service?
Valor Comic Services, because it's in-house.
Just there, like toward the middle of the table there.
So there you go. Try to get it to where there's no glare, but there you have classic Neal Adams cover of Batman jumping after Man-Bat, where he has his bride, and almost a very horror element.
Well, I mean, it is a rip of Bride of Frankenstein, is what the concept of this is. Just lay it in there. Now they can see it. And Daniel has also brought along some of his personal ones that he's hoping to upgrade. So we're going to get to see that side by side as we go for the books that he brought.
Right. Well, thank you guys. Thank you for the support.
Here's our second one here.
You gotta start covering it.
Well, it is our first Nubia.
Oh, wow.
Wonder Woman 7.5.
Okay.
Beautiful yellow cover. Let y'all see that one.
So who is Nubia?
So, kind of a one-off villain at the time, but now has become repopular. I forget which event brought her back, but now she is considered one of the first African-American Wonder Woman adversaries. And I don't know too much about the character. I know that she's a kind of a spec character, a pretty hot character. That book looks beautiful, though.
It is. It's also not Neal Adams.
No, but from that same Neal Adams era. Is some of these books might not be Neal Adams, but they're all from the 70s era where Neal Adams was king, either through Superman, Batman, Jimmy Olsen, whatever there was.
Right. And even the greater note, what makes the book special by CGC, on this book, it has Wonder Woman returns to their old costume, the first appearance of Nubia, the death of I Ching, and the origin of Wonder Woman and the Amazon race. So there's a lot of things going on within this issue.
A little history on, so that first one that they noted was Wonder Woman back in traditional costume. For a long time during the 60s and into the 70s, Wonder Woman was in like mod fashion for women of the time, like long hippie dresses, flower skirts, and stuff like that. As a female empowerment type character or whatever. But this is the first time that she returns to her classic, almost bikini type costume that you see here, that she was previously in her mod fashion. So I honestly didn't know that about that book.
I didn't either. Mr. Steve's asking, just wondering, are these going to be for PC or are you selling some of them? I would say it's going to end up being about 50-50.
Yeah, there's definitely some that I'm highly looking forward to keeping. But others, I've got a trade list. I'm sure that you have some kind of contact with Daniel here. Get in this inbox. Well, we might be able to make something happen.
Zach and I are both suckers for a good trade. So even if we say that it's like, oh, I'm PCing that, everything has its price. And you never know what is coming.
Yeah, if you really like something, let me know. We'll see. So, hold on here. Have you seen it so far?
No.
Do you know what I'm holding?
I saw Green Lantern, and I know the back cover.
Okay, don't look at it though.
Okay, so this book is my personal copy. Yeah. This is Green Lantern 87. This is the first appearance of John Stewart, and out of the PC comes in at a very vibrant 8.0. It even has a stamp up here at the top corner. Those are very
I love those stamps because that was the stamp that it hit the newsstands to let them know of like, oh, this has been out a month. I need to rotate this or whatever. Some people don't like them, but I love them. They authenticate a book so well.
Right. And I've made a video on this book in particular about a year and a half ago where just I feel very passionately about this book since it features the first appearance of John Stewart. Well, a lot of people, whenever the Miles Morales hype had begun, it was very focused on that, Miles Morales is the Black Spider-Man. And it was something that was never been done before. But then, much like how we are right now, me and Zach were talking, and it was like, wait, no, that's not true. You're forgetting about John Stewart.
Mm-hmm.
For Green Lantern was primarily always Hal Jordan. Well, then they replaced him with John Stewart. So this is something that's already been done.
Or not replaced him. He became the backup Green Lantern. The backup to the backup. Because Guy Gardner was the backup. And then they were like, oh, Guy Gardner sucks. He's a bad guy. We don't want him being the hero. So the backup to the backup was John Stewart. And people, my generation, your generation, kind of know him best from the Justice League animated series.
Right.
That's where he gained so much popularity. But back to the topic at hand, Daniel. I'm going to take that.
Okay.
And this is now your book.
Okay. Word. All right. So same thing, Green Lantern 87, white cover. Looks a hell of a lot better than the one I just handed off. And it's a 8.5 off-white pages. So that is the first little upgrade.
It is a bump. And for those of you just joining, the way our deal works is there's select books in this lot that Daniel will be upgrading. And I will be getting his downgraded copies. But that was his entry fee into this collection with me. But that's a whole grade bump for you.
Right. That's a 8.5 off-white pages.
That's a beautiful book.
Hand me the other one just to show a side-by-side of it.
Sure.
And then, so there on camera is 2 copies of Green Lantern 87 at an 8.5 and an 8.0. Wow. You just don't see that too often. So that is really great to have that on screen right now.
Yeah. And yours does have some rolling issues, some spine roll issues or something. Let me get that one closer. You can tell that there's some, I don't know, you see more pages at the top corner of this one than you would normally. But regardless, absolutely beautiful book.
And that could even be how it was encapsulated too.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing with grading to always consider is it's still human beings at the other end of it, and we're all flawed and we all make our mistakes.
But I think at the end of the day, ultimately, this comes down to, this is one of the 48-page extended books. So it is a thicker book, and it has a tendency to just roll a little bit, especially whenever it's smushed down and encapsulated. But congratulations on that one, buddy.
I'm really hyped. That's actually a really good comment that Chris just made.
What do you say?
For the last time they were together, we're probably on a newsstand.
Absolutely. That's an interesting thought.
That's deep. It got deep when I wasn't expecting it.
They hadn't hung out since the 70s when they were on the same newsstand together. And now here they are back in our hands.
Oh, that's such a beautiful book, especially in a higher grade where the white pops.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm not being biased because I just upgraded, but that is genuinely a beautiful book.
All right. Another one that we're doing.
Okay. So from the previous collection, it was a 4.0 Detective Comics number 411. This is the first appearance of Talia al Ghul. They came out in May of 1971. Now, this is a good, solid Neal Adams cover. A lot of blacks involved, a lot of darkness, and you can see that he's about to get jumped by an assassin. So this is a 4.0. I know for a fact that this present book has never been cleaned or pressed because when I bought it, it wasn't a thing.
Now, you said this book has a lot of blacks on it.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make it harder to grade?
It does. So if
what happens with blacks?
So if I can get it on camera, it'll.
No, better.
Yeah. So whenever you go down the spine of this book and you start seeing the white marks, which are the spine dents, black covers make it really hard to get higher grades because they're so easy to pick up the flaws on it. It could be smudges, creases, color breaks. Black covers are normally really difficult to get in a higher grade. And it's the same thing that applies to Amazing Spider-Man 300, where the front cover is solid black, solid red. It makes it tough to get those in a higher grade. That's why 9/8 command the price that they do.
Absolutely. Now, reverse to what you just said, this one is not a low grade.
It's not a low grade?
So...
It's tan.
Doesn't matter, man.
It does matter. It's tan. I can fix that.
3, 2, 1.
All right. So same book, a little bit of an improvement, and
not a little bit.
Shit.
This is an 8.5 of this book.
Wow.
That is a dramatic increase to what we were expecting.
Wow.
That's what I'm saying. You came out on top on that one, bud.
Holy crap. That's dramatic.
I was going to let you just talk about, blacks they're harder to grade. Not this one. This one, I'd call a near perfect book.
Right. Well, it's an 8.5, so that's right at the cuff of very fair plus to near mint.
We're frozen on that second screen. But
it'll go back.
Yeah, but either way, I have to reiterate it again. These books are 50 years old. Came to me not bagged and boarded, simply stacked on top of each other in a box. This book came back in 8.5. Yes, Daniel cleaned and pressed them, which did absolutely help, but it is astonishing that something like this, a piece of paper, 50 years old, is still in 8.5 condition.
That book looks so good.
And now it's yours, man. Enjoy.
That book looks so good. And never have I ever thought that I would have this high of a grade of this book. That's unreal. Because honestly, I would never pay for it.
No.
Whenever you get to an 8.5, that's a good $500-$600.
Yeah, you're talking a huge jump from, let's say, a 6.0 to this is a dramatic jump in price, especially because of those black covers. They're just harder to get those high grades in. Congratulations, bud, on that.
And the sad thing is, I'm going to crack it. If you're wondering, the reason why I say I'm going to crack it is because if you look at the back, you can see the dust shadows that make the square around the back cover, how it's also tan. I can reverse that. Whenever we were working on these books, whitening was not a process that was being used versus now it is. And I could totally fix that to result in a potential substantial grade bump. So I'm going to have to do that. Because if you got a 9.2 of that book after everything we just covered, that's unreal.
Absolutely. So let's move on to sister book.
No. I'm saving that for later.
Saving it for later.
No.
Okay, never mind.
No, because I can't. You can't build a hype up for me
absolutely.
That high and then make me disappointed later.
Let's find a book that you're not upgrading. That is going to be just my book.
Just grab them. We'll just pull them at random.
Remember this one. This is Detective 408.
Right.
I don't even remember sending that one off.
So I do. Again, reiterating, whenever Zach acquired the slot, there were several books that I picked up for me, and this is one. This is not a key issue. The notes on it have that Dr. Zinzin, don't even know who that is, appearance includes a 1971 Batman calendar. So that's good to know that this remained complete since 1971. Sure. But the cover on it where it just features more.
Oh, I see instantly why.
Yeah,
So we get a Robin who is slowly fading into a skeleton.
right,
And if there's one thing we know about Daniel, he can't resist a classic horror cover.
right. Anything that's horror related, I'm a sucker for. And one thing with Neal Adams' artwork is when it came to the horror element, where he was working with Bertie Wrightson,
Mm-hmm.
he always knocked horror out of the park.
Absolutely.
So whenever you have like these gothic, darker style covers, you got to go with it.
Oh, and even at the bottom there, Robin doesn't just turn to a skeleton.
He dissolves.
He dissolves
like
ash.
like Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Absolutely. One that meets the Comics Code Authority's seal of approval, of course, but still
Right.
very. And again, a black cover.
Right.
Absolutely beautiful, man.
8.5. 8.5s might be the standard for this submission, but that's okay.
Sure.
Ain't nobody gonna be mad.
Not hurting on that.
Like, hell, if that race comes back in 8.5,
Mm-hmm.
shoot. But, yeah, so that's really dope. Lost my train of thought. Chris asks, when did you originally expect it coming back? So all of these books were submitted economy, but they were not fast tracked. Always fast track your books because you don't want to wait a year. Your time is always valuable.
Yeah, and I don't know if we said it. This is an 18-book submission. So even at an economy tier, it was still a little chunk of money to do this. And It was one of those, do we really want to pay the extra $200 to get these back sooner?
Right.
And at the time we were thinking, it's not going to be that much longer.
Yeah, we were expecting about 6 months.
And yeah, and it turns out it was a year, and we probably should have just spent the extra money. But regardless, also, what a fantastic time to be a DC fan.
Oh, for sure.
That Marvel market.
Or a horror fan.
And then,
horror fan.
But that DC, choo-choo, get on that train.
DC's going up, and I'm grateful for it.
So here's another book that is going to your PC.
Oh, damn. You could have built it up. So this is...
Nope. Throw them at you.
No, don't throw them at you. This is Detective Comics 405, the first appearance of League of Assassins. Show it on here. And I love this cover. I've never gotten to have this book before, so it coming back in 8 is very, very cool. It's satisfying.
For those who don't know, the League of Assassins is the group that Ra's al Ghul commands. They were featured in the first Christopher Nolan movie.
Yeah. They were in the Dark Knight trilogy from Ra's al Ghul.
Yeah.
But they were referred to as the League of Shadows. Oh, remember the League of Shadows.
Well, he was also called Ra's al Ghul, not Ra's al Ghul. Like, they made a very specific point of like, let me say your name right, Ra's al Ghul. He's like, yeah, that's good. So they were just kind of making things up for that movie.
Well, maybe it's just the redneck coming out. Man, that looks so nice.
Again, black cover, 50 years old, at an 8.0.
I forgot we sent this. Maybe it's just picking. Oh, it looks so good.
It's a good looking book.
It's so good. You got Batman hanging out in the swamp. We're from Louisiana, so
you are just getting.
You can't beat that.
You are honestly getting a great haul out of this one, even so far.
I'm not mad.
You shouldn't be.
Oh man, that's such a great cover. Like, I'm gonna display that. I have 9/8 books that I have on my wall. I'm taking them down just to put up that because I love that cover so much right now.
Right.
What's this?
This is
Green Lantern 76, one of my favorite covers of all time.
One of the most classic covers of all time. It's the first team up book appearance of Green Lantern and Green Arrow.
Oh, and it got a 7.5.
Mm-hmm.
Very nice. Very, very nice.
Absolutely. So for those of you who don't know the story behind Green Lantern, Green Arrow as a series, Green Lantern was about to be canceled when this book came out. I think they said, you have 8 issues, and then we're going to cancel your book. This turned into, I think, the best-selling comic of that time from DC. because of the writing in it. They were dealing with political issues. They were introducing black characters. They were dealing with drugs. During this run, we got the classic cover of Speedy shooting up heroin on the front cover. I mean, they dealt with so many good issues. They turned this book that was about to be canceled into a fantastic, one of the best books of all time books. And that's where it started, was with this issue.
Right. Chris is bringing up that book is the start of the Bronze Age.
Yeah, it is. It is the end of the Silver Age. And that distinction is made because we're starting to get into darker territories. We're not quite at, Dark Knight Returns levels of, serious, but we're dealing with real topics now. It's not, oh, I'm going to beat you up because you're the bad guy.
Could you imagine having a 9.0 of that book, though? Of Green Lantern 76? Just how nice it would look. At that point,
yeah.
You can get a facsimile.
Oh, sure. But, I mean, it's still such a beautiful cover. So this is another Daniel book.
Yeah, that's Green Lantern 76 is one of my favorite comic book covers of all time. Yeah, it is.
It's not a particularly special one, but it is definitely a Daniel book. We were frozen again. All right. So what do we got on the cover of this one, Daniel?
So it's Batman 246. It's actually a classic cover, believe it or not, of Robin hanging himself, where you have Batman just walked into a castle saying, "Robin, oh no, not again." He's saying "not again" to Robin's feet suspended from the rafters.
And at the bottom corner, how many ways can Robin die? It's just the 70s throwing whatever at the wall stuck. And at the time, it was horror. This, I think, is the worst one that we've got so far back.
Okay. A 6.5.
It's still nothing to sneeze about. It's still a very high-grade copy of it. But
right.
For this being just a fun PC book,
yeah,
I think that's okay.
Yeah, and the back cover's what got it too, but still, that's a very fun cover. That's crazy.
I was just catching up on chat.
Yeah, so catching up, we've
I'm
got...
bad with this live streaming of talking to you, looking at what we're looking at, and talking to y'all out there. And this is my first live stream I've done.
So Chris is saying a 9.0's over a grand right now, which...
Oh, for 76? Mm-hmm. I'm sure.
If I saw a decent 9.0, I would probably move that.
And then we got the sister book to that book that we just looked at of Batman hanging himself. I don't know if y'all saw that, but
yep, there's Batman. Yeah. How many ways can Batman die? So this is Detective Comics 415. Has a backup story with a note of hanging cover. Because it features
that is what that is.
Yeah.
Did the other one have a note of hanging cover?
No, it doesn't. It doesn't say hanging cover.
I guess you don't see a noose in this one. The top of his head is cut off, but regardless.
Yeah, you it's subtle. But you know it's there.
This one's not subtle. You see the noose very clearly on his head.
What grade? A 7.0? That's not bad.
Not bad for another PC book.
Not bad at all. So there you go. You've got Batman. Who can stop Batman? Only Batman. With a rope.
You killed me, and I'm going to prove it, says Batman, hanging from the noose.
I don't even think I read that story when I was working through it. I just saw the cover. It was like, you know what? That's fun.
If you've got the Robin cover, you have to have that one.
Yeah, it's fun. That's the best way. It's a fun little era cover.
They weren't even printed the same year. I thought that they would have been like back-to-back issues, but no, they're not. Neal Adams was on my kick, I guess.
Yeah, maybe he was sad. Maybe Neal Adams was going through a phase where he was very sad.
Right.
I don't even remember that book.
Yeah, just classic Batman cover with Talia. Robin backup story. I think that this is.
I think that's the first Neal on Detect.
Possibly. Would you look it up on on? Oh no.
Yeah, no, you can.
Yeah. I'll let you.
All right, so we've got Detective Comics 395. I believe this is the first Neal Adams work for Detective Comics, but we're going to verify that real quick. And it came back a 7.5, which is not bad. Are you sure that features Talia on the cover?
I'm pretty sure that's Talia.
I don't know. It features a damsel on front cover about to chase Batman down with an eagle and what looks like two wolves, saying that I offer you immortality or instant death, and you got to choose. So maybe it's Talia.
Oh, okay. So this is first collaboration between Neal Adams and Dennis O'Neil on Detective. Not in general. That was first in Batman, but this is first them collaborating on Detective.
Okay.
Because before then it was Neil and Frank Robbins. I'm not familiar with it all.
Okay. So deep dive, little Batman key.
Yeah, you know what? A great cover, another black cover,
right?
High
there's a lot of black covers.
Neal Adams worked really well with his dark colors.
Yeah,
that's how he got such dynamic faces on the characters. I mean, we look here, half of Batman's face is in shadow, and that's Neal Adams' art. That's one of the main ways to detect how he does it. He works so well with shadows and colors.
These slabs are stacking up on us too.
Mm-hmm. There's 18 of them.
Yeah.
We are a little over halfway. All right. So this is a Daniel book.
Yeah, it is. So I've had this book multiple times. It's not a tough book to find at all. It's really not a key. It's just a fun cover. Now, originally, and you'll see it more, I always thought this was the Scarecrow on the cover. However, it's not. It is not a Scarecrow cover. It's just a random dude that's trying to be creepy.
Almost looks like the Crypt Keeper.
A little bit. So it's a fun, deep dive horror cut. Of course, artwork being what it is.
Now, I will say, you said exactly, this is not a hard book to find. I beg to differ. In that this is a hard book to find and as high as of a grade as it did.
Oh, wow. We got a 9.2.
A 50-year-old book, highly in dark colors, your greens, browns, and blacks, a 9.2.
Wow.
That's about as perfect as you can get.
Yeah. Again, this is not an expensive book at all. I believe even in higher grades like this, it doesn't cost much in comparison to what others do. But
sure, there's no significance to the book, but we'll call it a horror cover.
Yeah.
And right up Daniel's alley, but there's no need to eventually replace that one. That's
right.
I think the nicest copy you'll come across.
Right. There's no need. Anything less would just be a downgrade.
Oh, I forgot about this one. This is a fun one. So another classic black cover by Neal Adams. He loved those. This is the Ten-Eyed Man, where he's a blind man, but his eyes were on his fingers. And
it's a really fun cover.
It's a fun character if you haven't read into him.
Like the solid black cover with the pink for the Batman logo is actually very complimentary. You wouldn't think it would be for Batman, but it delivers really well. And it got an 8.0, so that's not bad. Wow, so 8.0 of the Man with 10 Eyes. And that's higher than I thought it was going to be. Yeah. I remember a bunch of the creasing that was going on with it.
I mean, all these black covers have just been knocking it out of the park as far as condition. That's a cool deck, man. That's cool.
That's very cool.
We caught up on chats.
Yeah.
So this is definitely going to be a PC book for me. I had forgotten that we had sent this one off. So it is Lois and Lane, or Superman's girlfriend, Lois Lane. The issue where she, on the front cover, says, "I'm curious, black curious," and then turns herself into a black woman for a day to, live the life of one. This is definitely a PC book. I love oddities in the comic world like this. Very excited about that one.
That is a fun little cover. Fun key too. And it got a 7.5 off-white pages. So that's still pretty dope, especially for 1970.
Oh, yeah.
So you're going to PC that book?
I'm going to PC this one. This one is a for sure PC.
What's going to make you PC?
It's so oddball.
It's just one of the wackiest. For instance, for years before the movie ever came out, one of Zach's personal girls was first Polka Dot Man.
Yeah, and then unfortunately he was in Suicide Squad 2, and that book exploded. I love the weird oddball characters or stories that would never fly these days, but somehow made it to shelves for children. And I love those type of things. That's what the Silver Age is great at.
Oh, for sure. Especially with DC. If you start reading any Justice League of America or Justice Society,
yes,
the Justice Society,
yeah,
that has some deep dive characters where you've definitely never heard of.
Absolutely. We got 5 more books.
Word.
Oh, okay. All right. So this one is Daniel's copy of First Darkseid.
Right. First cameo appearance of Darkseid in a TV.
Mm-hmm.
At this
literally the last panel. I forget who it is. I think it's Darkseid or something. Is communicating with somebody, and then on the very last panel of it, Darkseid is on a little TV box in the corner, and that's it.
Yeah, but the cover's what kind of brings that one having the demand of it.
Yeah, well, it is second Jack Kirby cover at DC after he left Marvel.
Really?
Because the first one is of all the bikers in the daylight, like walking with Superman, and then the issue after it is this one with the bikers carrying Superman through the night. So this is the one that we got back just now. If you're curious, Forever People #1 is the first full Darkseid where he fully appears. He has 2 cameos, both in Jimmy Olsen.
Right. However, this has the superior cover.
Yeah, I really like Forever People. I think it's a fun book, but this one is the better one.
Right.
So this one came back a 7.0. It's the first one that's not upgraded.
Right.
But it's still not far off.
Right. And it's still a 7.0 off white pages. So that stinks for me, but still to have just them being so close together.
For sure.
A 7.0 and 7.5.
And with this being the first book that you're not upgrading,
right.
I mean, I wouldn't sneeze at it too much.
Right. Especially the difference between the two.
Yeah. I mean, I can definitely tell there's a bunch of dings in the top of this one.
Right.
Like, it wasn't a high grade candidate, but it's still a very beautifully presenting book.
Right, because even the difference between these two, you can look at the wraps. And I'll show you guys what I mean by a wrap as well. You can see where the wrap is off center on mine.
Yep.
Versus this is not. It's got a little bit of overhang from the pages, but as far as the centering of it, much like Marvel cards, centering plays a factor when it comes to the wrap of a comic book. So a comic book itself can be off-centered a lot like cards. And if I can show you here, where you have just the crisp square image of the cover, where you don't see any white. The white is going to be coming from the back cover, and then I'll show you the previous one, where you can see it going along the spine, where you begin to see the white. That is just where it was a miscut, essentially.
Yeah. The staples were just put a millimeter off from each other to where they didn't line up. It is interesting, I will point out, the color match on these are exactly the same. And what do we know about red covers in comics?
Red covers are interesting because of how they were printed. So if you look at books like Secret Wars #8, New Mutants 87, and even Batman 423.
Mm-hmm.
So those covers, you're known when most time when you think about it, those covers are orange. However, that's not the case. They were originally intended to be printed red.
They were printed in this exact same color here. And it's just interesting that both of these are the same color of red, and one hasn't faded to orange. And it's believed, we're not fully sure, but it's believed that the orange ones were later prints from the same run. So it's not a second print, but it is a later print from first print, where the ink was starting to run out or whatever.
Right. In terms of printing and attaching a serial number to it, like the ones that have a red would be closer to the first 500 that were printed. And then anything that starts fading to orange, then those would be later numbers within the print.
And the more dull orange it is a later print, and the more vibrant red it is a higher number print. You know,
right,
higher to the first print.
Right.
All right, we were talking about this book earlier. So it is just a Grim Reaper cover following our horror theme for Batman Neal Adams. Mr. Grim Reaper on the front of that one.
Right, and this is even another example of what we were just talking about with the orange and the red. So here you can see that the cover is orange versus an earlier printing to it, it would be more predominantly red.
Mm-hmm. I will let you review yours.
So Batman 237, this is considered to be an iconic cover, and it got a 7.5 off-white pages. So that's not bad at all.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a very, very freaking clean copy. Like, my word, that's good. I want to pull up the notes on it and figure out why I got a 7.5, because they are hardly any kind of spine ticks on it unless it's on the back.
I see a little bit of chipping here at the top. Obviously, your tan on the spine.
That minimal of chipping wouldn't bring it down to a 7.
Oh, look at your corner.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, it's not a minor split. I mean, we're talking a 2 millimeter split down the spine.
Right.
Either way, still presents beautifully front and back. There's just a small little tear.
That'll get you.
But regardless, 7.5 of that.
I mean, I'm going to be honest and get, the arrogance out of the way and be like, man, CGC sucks. This book was a 9.0. But no, it's a 7.5.
Yeah, so I think that's a fair grade, given that tear that I don't think that we saw that whenever we submitted it. Mm-hmm. But it's a valid grade for that.
Yep. And one thing, the special notes on it is this is based on a Bernie Wrightson idea with an assist from Harlan Ellison, Genesis of story later explained in an O'Neill letter.
Is that a Harlan Ellison pseudo collab?
Yeah.
Harlan Ellison is one of my favorite sci-fi writers of all time. He wrote I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream. Very prolific sci-fi writer. Almost borderline philosophy. So that I didn't know that. So that's very cool that that's a collab or an interpretation of one of his works.
Right. And especially to how we're talking about horror and Halloween, that is probably one of the top Halloween covers of all time. He even says it, a haunting Halloween novel.
What month did that book come out? Oh, it was December. Weird. You would have thought it would have been released more of October, but it's a December release. So I don't know this one at all. Tell me the story behind Batman 243, Daniel.
I almost want to say it has something to do with Lucius Fox offhand. It's a very...
What is the...
Ra's al Ghul and Talia appearance. It's a very minor key. It's not anything substantial. But again, solid black cover, Neal Adams artwork.
I will look it up while you do the review.
All right. So Batman 243 came out in August of 1972, and it got a 7.5 off-white. Now, this book is another one that just looks very clean. It's got a chip out of the bottom left corner.
Oh, that's actually a really interesting key. This is the first appearance of Lazarus Pit.
That's what it is.
What Ra's al Ghul uses to come back to life and live an eternal life is the Lazarus Pit, and this is the first appearance and mention of that.
So really, what we have is an essential like Ra's al Ghul
Absolutely
thing.
The only one we're missing is 244, the sword cover.
Well, I can go get it.
Well, you have one, but the only one that didn't come in that collection is the sword cover.
Now that book wasn't included in the collection at all.
No, I didn't. I don't remember getting one in that.
And because if you did, it would be here with the others.
Oh, absolutely. But I think we got pretty much every other Ra's al Ghul key. All right.
Are we in the last two?
We are in the last two. And what I would call the biggest ones, probably.
Yeah.
So take your pick. Which one are we talking about first?
It doesn't matter.
Out of these two.
Two-Face.
All right. So this is Daniel's copy that he is hopefully going to upgrade. We'll see what the grade is.
I changed my mind.
Okay.
I changed my mind. Okay, so the reason why I'm changing my mind is I love this book. This is first appearance of Ra's al Ghul, the origin of Batman and Robin retold, Talia appearance. This is a classic cover. If you are getting into DC keys, this is one you might want to pick up. Ra's al Ghul isn't, a B-lister or C-lister by no means for Batman's Rogues Gallery.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a book that's still available. It's been featured at multiple properties, animated series, video games, live-action film. So he has credibility with being a villain. And you can't beat the cover. Robin's getting shot on the cover. So
I would argue top 10 most important Batman rogues. So again, this is the one that Daniel is hoping to upgrade. We hadn't seen the grades yet. Spoilers, I have, but he hasn't. So we'll see if the one that I sent off personally beats the 7.0.
All right. That already looks night and day better than that 7.0. God, that's so tan. If you end up keeping it, let me please whiten it.
What do you think this one is?
I gotta see the bag. Ooh, that looks tan. Maybe, I don't know, depending on their day. This is a very clean copy. The one that I'm looking at presently right here, that's a very clean copy. I see very minimal spine dents. Corners look clean. It could be anywhere from an 8 to a 9, depending on their day, to be honest with you.
You are exactly correct. Somewhere in the middle, 8.5.
Holy shit.
So for those of you just joining, this is now Daniel's book because of how our trade worked, of his buy-in on this deal. So Daniel, hold your 8.5 Raws.
Holy crap. That is nuts.
That is
nuts.
Book.
So even though it's a 7.0 to an 8.5, that's not a huge grade bump.
That is 3 grades.
Yeah.
Let's not forget.
That's a 3 grade bump, and you are now into very fair near mint territory for a book that came out in June of 1971.
51 years ago.
Jesus.
Congrats on that, man. I will say there's a small dog corner to it.
Yeah.
But like beyond that,
that's a slight corner.
Beyond that, I don't see flaws in the book. I'm very excited to see what you do with that in the future.
Oh, yeah.
But on that note, the 7.0 is now mine.
Were you excited for your acquisition of the 7.0?
It is an introductory in the door book. I am okay with that.
Holy crap. An 8.5. Like, can I see that 7.0 just to, like, say goodbye and at the same time
Please,
be like...
give it a kiss.
But hold on, like, if you look at it, and maybe it won't be a glare, that way I can angle these. So what we were talking about earlier, the difference between red and orange. You can see it here on this 8.5, the newer copy.
That's a very good example.
You can see where the Batman is red versus on this one it's orange. So that's what we were talking about.
That is exactly that issue. Yeah.
Yeah.
And this was just closer to being at the front of the press than this one was. They're still both first printings. It's just this one was a more firster printing than this one.
Right. The ink was a little bit more wet whenever they ran that one through. Because you can even see it down on the bottom.
Oh, yeah. No, any place there's red, even on Robin's outfit.
Yeah.
Robin's outfit is definitely more orange in the 7.0 than the 8.5, which doesn't affect the grade, mind you. You can have a completely orange, very high grade book of that, or a Secret Wars 8 or whatever. But it definitely pops more, and in our opinion, is more desirable. Right. If you had two of the same grade sitting in front of you, pick up the one with the deeper red, because you know it is a more first print.
Right. It's on comparison with the same thing as having the newsstand edition. Now, newsstands now for the comic community is something that's common knowledge. A lot of people know newsstands and in fact desire and look for newsstands. Now, it wasn't always this case. A newsstand edition is something that just popped up within the past 5 years, if that.
I think people have known about it for about 6 to 8 years. Not long, regardless. Either way, it's a thing that we are still learning about how they were distributed, how in what quantities they were distributed. And this is just a further example of minute variants in comics. And this isn't even a true variant. It is just a deeper red.
Yeah, or if anything, it's more of a fun fact that also has an incentive towards possibly a premium if that started to ever become a thing.
It is a premium for me and Daniel. Right. If we were to list these side by side and they were the same grade, just one orange, one red, they would fetch about the same price.
Right. Well, it'd be like the wraps. Like, say, if we had two 7.0 books of the same exact book, but you can look at it and you can see where the wrap on one is misaligned versus one seems perfectly square. It's right there in tandem with that. The grade is going to sell for the exact same. It just happens to carry over into your personal preference as a collector.
Absolutely. So we are at our last book now. So it's the book that we've picked up 3 or 4 times, and Daniel's like, no, let's do this other one. It is the first Silver Age Two-Face.
Right.
What can you tell us about this book, Daniel?
So there's been a lot for years. There was a lot of misconception regarding the first Silver Age Two-Face. It involved where Batman dressed up as Two-Face, and it wasn't really a thing. However, now it's actually notated that this is the first Silver Age appearance of Two-Face that came out of August 1971. Features Batman tied to a pirate ship. Doesn't make sense. And then you have Neal Adams, Harvey Dent, Two-Face floating, not attached to anything, just floating up at the top. And I'll put it there so you can kind of see it a little bit better.
And first Silver Age appearances are really heating up now, especially for major Golden Age key players, because the Golden Age is so unobtainable for most people.
Right.
And even first cover appearance is still incredibly unattainable for most people. But with this still being a key of first Silver Age appearance, it is still a highly sought after book.
Right. That's because people can you can buy that book.
Absolutely.
And same thing with Riddler. Whenever is it Matt Reeves, the director of the Edward Batman?
Couldn't tell you.
Honestly. All right. Well, anyway, so Riddler was the primary antagonist of the last Batman movie. And well, you can't afford his Golden Age book just because it's like a $5,000 book, regardless, bare minimum of a 0.5. Well, his first Silver Age appearance, that book shot up significantly,
just
because that was obtainable,
the closest thing people could reach for.
Right.
I mean, and go down the list: Scarecrow, Penguin, Joker, all of those fall in that same category of, hundreds of thousands of dollars for the Golden Age, a little bit less for the first cover appearance, and then your first actually obtainable key is the first Silver Age appearance, which generally, I can't think of one that doesn't follow this trend. They're all on the cover. It's all a great cover and kind of reintroduces the character for a more grown up, we're in the 70s now. It's not kids stuff anymore, these comics.
Right.
So,
it's sort of ushering in that new time.
So here is the one that I sent off. Here. Same book as Daniel's.
I mean, they look identical other than where right there.
Sure.
The where's in the same spot. It's in the same exact spot.
I will say this one is an increase.
This one needs to be cleaned. Like the side note, this was not cleaned and pressed prior to submitting.
Yeah.
This one just needs to be cleaned and pressed. Jeez.
So this one came back in 8.0.
Same thing.
Yeah, not as dramatic, but definitely still there.
Right.
So definitely hold on to your new book.
Jeez.
Here's the thing. It is back cover all day with these books.
Oh yeah.
This one has creasing. It has lines, and the back of this cover. There's a reason this one got a 5.0. It's all on the back. It doesn't show on the front. That one is a beautiful book.
Through and through.
All the way through.
I mean, there's not much more to say.
Yeah.
Because we just covered it.
But I think that you won out on an upgrade on every single one of these except for one, your Dark Side.
Yeah.
But you got
a 5.0 to an 8.0 is a huge upgrade.
I think the biggest jump between any of them that you got.
Right.
And man, I'm so excited for you. I'm excited for myself. I still get to keep the lower grade ones, which I'm completely okay with. But I think that it's the best mail call I've ever had. I can't speak for you, but I mean,
it's fun. This
is a great one,
right?
Goodness,
I wasn't expecting that to get made. That 8 raw great raws on gold is freaking holy shit.
I mean, what was the lowest one that we got?
A 6.65.
Yeah, because the highest we got was the
9.2.
Yeah. But almost all of them fell between the 7.0 to 8.5 range. Like that was pretty consistently where they all landed.
Right. So they were all in the very fair plus range.
That just attests to the lady that I initially received these from with how good of condition she kept them in. A little background on her. She, again, is one of my mother's friends, but went on to be a librarian in, her adult life. So she clearly had a passion for books and the history of them and the upkeep of them, even at a young age, because clearly,
right,
kept them safe.
So I mean, even so I happened to be watching an auction on this book just ended yesterday, and 8.0 sold for $600.
That's crazy, man.
Yeah,
I'm thrilled for both of us, dude.
I am too.
We are both walking away with some just treasure.
And the crazy thing is how many times I have come close to just selling that 5.0 Two-Face.
Yeah, and now you don't have to, man.
No, now I can use it for something bigger.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's like that book has been on my personal chopping block plenty of times.
Sure.
But I have the golden age, so I don't have to have the silver.
Yeah. And I do want to throw it out there again. If you saw something in this video that isn't going to Daniel's PC,
it's available.
Holler at Daniel on Instagram or somewhere. He's got obviously direct contact with me.
Mm-hmm.
Everything is negotiable. Definitely more interested in trades than selling, but we'll see. Just give me a holler about it.
Right. That's like a good trade.
Yeah.
So was it worth a year wait?
I would say it's not worth a year wait, but by golly, am I excited that it's still here. It's like waiting for Christmas.
Right. And especially there's so many close to 9s. Like how many?
That's not even where my head is. I'm just like, this still got an 8 or whatever, and it's 50 years old.
Right.
Like, that's just crazy to me, man. I'm ecstatic. I can't wait to go back through them once we stop recording and
Right. I mean,
just personally look at them. And
which grade do you think is the most shocking?
I'm surprised that any of them in their current state, without being whitened or anything, got above a 9. So that one that got a 9 too, even though it's not the most special book, I'm surprised any of them got above a 9.
Right.
So that one would be the one that I was the most surprised about. I can't say I'm disappointed in any of the grades that we got back.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, because what was the one that we got a 6.5 on?
It's a random, like, honestly throwaway comic. It's not anything special.
Oh, that was the hanging issue.
Yeah. So say if
I mean, out of all of them to get a 6.5, this was the one to get it on.
Right.
And again, it's going to your PC. It doesn't matter that it got a 6.5, but
it still looks incredible.
Yeah,
even though it's a 6.5.
Cannot complain with any of this, man.
I can catch up on these beautiful books. DC keys are the way to go.
I mean, if you haven't been following the market recently, honestly, DC keys are so hot. I don't even remember where it started. Was it Black Adam?
Yeah, Black Adam's kind of what got the momentum going into. No, it was James Gunn. It was James Gunn being moved over to DC.
But either way, if you've been following DC sales, especially for major keys, it's just been on the steady incline for 2-3 months now. And a lot of major Marvel keys, they're not crashing or anything, but they are definitely down from where they were. Books are much more obtainable. Your holy grails are still at that unobtainable level. You're not like, oh, it's time to buy an AF-15.
But that's not necessarily true, because even Amazing Spider-Man #1, that just went down.
Sure.
Like, I'm seeing Blue Label Amazing Spider-Man #1's available for under $5,000.
Yeah.
And
it went down, but I wouldn't call it obtainable. Like, for a lot of people, $5,000 is still a lot of money.
Right.
Like, it's not like, oh, I'll take my $200 savings and go buy me a first Spider-Man. It's
right.
It's still an expensive book, but it is much further down than it used to be.
For sure. So even Werewolf by Night 32, First Moon Knight, that is almost back to right at COVID, like pre-COVID.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think that also has to do with Moon Knight not really succeeding as well as they wanted it to in the MCU.
Right.
I'd be interested to see where Werewolf by Night is, though, because that was so well received. I would want to see the charting on that.
Marvel Spotlight 2, the Neal Adams cover for Werewolf by Night.
Did he do that one?
Yeah, he did.
I didn't know he did Werewolf.
Yeah, he first appearance of Werewolf by Night. Neal Adams book.
If y'all ever get the chance, just look through Neal Adams' catalog history. He has done some of the most iconic things that you never realized that he did.
Right.
He was so prolific for his time.
Like, his X-Men run was gangster. His Batman run was prolific. Brought everything to new heights. Green Lantern reinvented the wheel.
Yeah. I mean, everything he touched exploded. Because, I mean, he was right there with Jack Kirby. And making, of all books, Jimmy Olsen one of the highest selling books of that year. Just because, Jack brought the star power to it, but Neal Adams put in his work too. These are some great looking covers on these books, and the whole run of them both is still fantastic.
Right.
Whew.
It's a lot of fun graded books you got on your coffee table right now.
It's a lot of fun. A lot of fun I've had opening these books. And I guess before we close out, I want to thank y'all for being here for this. We were so excited to get into it, and we're very excited to have y'all here with us.
For sure. Definitely appreciate you. Chris, Swish, Mr. Steve, everybody that's been hanging out with us so far tonight. Also, really appreciate the engagement that you guys have had. That's been really awesome.
Some good questions that we've been able to bounce back off of. And I don't know how to end it other than just thank you, my mom's friend, whom I don't remember the name of. And don't worry, I paid well for these initially, regardless. But definitely an investment well paid off at this point. Yeah.
Yeah, the ones that aren't going to be PC'd, I can put a link on my Instagram for my Shortbox account, where the majority of these will be featured on Shortbox.
Sure.
That way, if you want to browse and see what's available, then you can also just message me on Instagram, and we can barter, do what we need to do, and I'll make that a little bit easier, more affordable for you. So not everything's going to be PC'd. A lot of these got to go because Christmas is coming.
Oh, I hear you.
Winter's coming.
Tis the season.
Yeah. It's not everything is staying as much as I would love it to.
But that's all I got for you guys. I'm honestly at a loss for words. I have very little to add to this conversation.
All right. Well, it has been fun. I appreciate you guys taking the time to hang out with us and engage. And we will definitely kind of work on something again. Maybe potentially start doing a podcast of just doing some general chat.
Haha, I tricked you. This was our backdoor pilot. If you like hearing us talk, maybe we can talk more. We've been talking about it forever, and I don't know. Maybe we'll do it if you like it. Let us know.
For sure. And yeah, I appreciate you guys so much. And until next time, guys, be safe. We're gonna roll.